Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Ray, how are we doing?
Doing good, doing good. How are you, GM?
Feeling good, feeling good. We if people were listening to our show yesterday. Looks like they would be doing pretty well for themselves after a couple of those calls that we made. Did pretty well, which we will get into. If you are just listening in, guys, welcome to the WGMI morning show. This is where we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less. And we use WGMI.io's various tools and analytics to try to provide you not just the news, but what to make of it and how this may affect your buy and sell decisions. Hopefully, we can help you make some money in this current market. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to DM us with the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all of our tools. We give away one free trial every single show. Some of the broader market stories that we're going to cover today, like I was saying earlier, if you were listening and you jumped on with us in some of the plays we called yesterday, you are probably in the green. Fontana by Harvey Rayner ran up to 1.4 ETH yesterday. And it's still sitting at about a 1.45 ETH floor after minting out at 0.47 ETH. I know Ray was in that and made some money, Tom as well. Gangster All-Stars, after we're looking at around the 0.5 range, ran to 0.63 ETH. Now it's sitting at about 0.58. So also great to see. In other news, we saw Cool Cat see pretty nice volume over the last 24 hours. They had last time I checked, they had about 100 sales, and now they're sitting at a 3.3 ETH floor, up a good amount. And on the flip side, we saw Ranga continuing to pull back. After they hit their all-time high of 3.2 ETH, they're currently at 2.4. So definitely something to monitor there, especially because the listings are going to continue to go up. Ray, first off, maybe it's best for you to dive into exactly what happened yesterday with that Art Blocks Curated drop and talk a little bit about the All-Stars as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Big win yesterday. We called this one. I was pretty confident about this play yesterday, jumping in at pretty much whatever price once volume was there. Looking at, it being, in this last series of the Art Block collections, seeing that I believe this is a very aesthetically pleasing set. It's kind of been described almost as sort of like QQL, but with blocks with piano keys, as somebody that I know put it elegantly. Great collection to look at in terms of the aesthetics. Like I said, historical value being in the Series 8, being the last drop. So I was just following this like a hawk. Once 1 o'clock hit, I was ready to jump in at any point when there was that volume. Ended up dropping down to 0.47. I was trying to mint multiple. I was trying to get maybe 2, but my second transaction failed. I jumped in a little bit above 0.5 when the volume started to pick up, but I just couldn't get my second transaction in quick enough. I sold off. I took profits at 1 ETH. Quick 2x. Anybody who held a bit longer is obviously sitting pretty now. Right now I've been trying to build that ETH stack, stay liquid. So I've been trying to make these flips where I have high confidence and jump in and out at a profit as opposed to potentially bag holding down the road. I know we talked about Gangster All-Stars as well. We saw this sitting around 0.5 yesterday. We saw it peak up around 0.6. We're hanging at 0.56 now. It was a great buy yesterday. Quick win if you can get in and out. We see the listings. Yesterday we saw that drop. This is what really brought this to our attention. We were comparing this to Renga, seeing the listings dropping off a bit for the Gangster All-Stars as the floor was still running. We said, as long as those listings keep dropping, we're going to see that price action. We saw that pick back up today, though. So I'm not buying in here. Taking a look, watching these listings, probably just a hold. If you're holding, I wouldn't sell here. I think we need a little bit more data to move forward with. But a nice little win there. If you pick that up around 0.5, up a little bit already. We talked about the unrevealed as well. I think they're doing well. I have a custom chart here that I use to track the Gangster All-Stars. We save all of our charts. You can load them up real quickly. Make sure you have all of your data, all of your different tools ready and handy. So looking at the unrevealed boxes, yesterday they peaked around 0.88. I think they were in upper 0.7s, maybe 0.8 when we were having our show. Listings were down similar, but they're also moving up as well. So we're looking at unrevealed boxes around 0.86 now. with the revealed collection around 0.56. I think it's a wait and see. As that art reveals, we should get a better idea of where this project's going to go. I think the next catalyst will be the reveal. I'm not sure on the date of that reveal. I can take a look at their Twitter account now. I know the artwork is pretty flashy. I was comparing it a bit to Renga in terms of style, but I think they are separating themselves a bit. The stills do remind me a bit of Renga, but some of the like animation and graphics on these is pretty crazy. And there is some variation that you're not seeing with that Renga. So these look pretty cool. I think there's going to be some hype around them come reveal time. I don't know if these are legendary or this is sort of like your average look at the collection, but these ones at least are pretty awesome.
They look great. They look great, and I mean, obviously, good to keep good. And it was good enough to get 300 sales yesterday. They did 236 ETH in volume, and I mean, over the last 7 days, it's also noteworthy to say that they're already up 0.35 over the last 7 days, right? So they already came in with some volume. The reason why we continued to like it was even though this price was going up a fair amount, the listings were continuing to drop. But as soon as those listings flip, that's when we want to stay away and we take that wait and see approach. And this will likely pull back. But when it gets to the point where those listings are at a reasonable spot again and we feel comfortable with that volume still being there, it can be a nice win if you play your cards right once again.
Yeah, for sure. And the sales have been steady on it. Nothing to like write home for. You can also look at, sales on this graph as well. Looking at sales versus listings over time. So we see the listings have remained steady above the number of sales. But we have, seen that uptick of sales, big uptick in sales leading up to that initial pump in purple. Let me get rid of listings for now. Big uptick of sales on that day where it had that initial pump. Sales dropped a bit, but as listings dropped as well, that floor kept running. So it's interesting to look at, not only listings, looking at the number of sales, making sure there's that constant volume of sales. You're seeing 302, 344, a couple low days there, 135, 158. But over the last 2 days, we saw that uptick in sales and the listings going down. Interesting to see where it goes from here. Like I said, I think we're waiting on the next catalyst or, maybe some big influencer push, but one we're going to have an eye on and we'll keep you updated on if we see anything else.
Absolutely. And moving on to the market report, this is brought to you by WGMI Newsroom, our official newsroom account, where we bring you a morning snapshot every single morning so you can get a quick pulse on what the market is doing, but also keep you updated on moving news as it hits and populates our news feed. Be sure to check that out if you like what you see. Yesterday's OpenSea volume was 11.7 million, so still uptrending, still doing pretty healthy. Like I like to see that it's still kind of, there's some life in the market right now. The three leading collections today, we saw CryptoPunks with 7 sales and 862 ETH in volume. Fontana by Harvey Rayner coming in second with 388, also 355 sales. And then Cool Cats coming in hot, which is great to see. They saw 380 ETH in volume, 96 sales, and still only about 400 listed. So definitely something to keep track of. We'll dive into that a little bit more later to see if it's something to look into now or if it's a little bit too pricey for what we're looking to play with right now. Other than that, Ray, does anything else stick out to you here as you kind of watched the market yesterday? Were you more focused on that art blocks drop?
Yeah, I was definitely paying attention to the art blocks drop. I haven't looked at the dashboard too much. I was looking at a couple potential plays, but nothing that I really felt confident about in terms of the project and the numbers. I know we've seen Terraforms continue to pump over the last few days now. So looking at the Terraforms by Math Castles, we're at a 1.47 floor from, a week ago we were at 0.68. This is a pretty complex collection. It minted, almost a year ago at this point. It was a 2021 mint, and they've moved quite a bit. The initial allow list for these, or maybe they were airdropped to a number of like punk holders. They have a very low unique owner count, and it's a very complex project. Basically, each of these represents a slice of digital land through code. It's like a combo land art code project without any roadmap that the community is building around. They're all animated. They represent like this essential like large world. They're all basically slices of this diamond. Complicated project. It has seen some movement. I haven't really seen too many catalysts for this project. Really the only thing like jumping into like research and looking at some of like what's going on social media, mentioning it. Aaron Wright's pretty plugged in with collectors and DAOs. He works over as a co-founder over at Tribute Labs. They handle a number of DAOs, so he's really plugged in with collectors. And ahead of this pump, he mentioned something along the lines of Terraforms being like comparing them to punks. He might have even deleted it at this point, to be honest. Oh, no, here we go. October 4th. Terraforms feel like early punks, iconic, hyperstructure, and confusing. And this is about when they started running. So, I mean, that's the only thing I can say. It's speculation, tinfoil hat, but I know he's plugged in with a number of collectors. He is a punk, and I know there's a high correlation of punk holders with these Terraforms. So taking a look at them, they've been running. It seems a bit high. I can take a look at some of those charts to look at listings versus.
I'm one step ahead of you, Ray. I got this right here if we want to look at it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of walk through this and see that the way the listings kind of went down when this pump happened. Then the listings go back up. Now they're back down. I think if I were to call something, I would call for them to go back up. Obviously, as people are going to take those profits. You can see, the sales started to trickle in. So one sale in October 2nd. And then all of a sudden they start picking back up. And today, over the last 24 hours, we've had 144 sales. So definitely something to keep track of there. Anything else stick out to you here?
No, I need to dive in a bit deeper. Like I said, I really was looking for catalysts. I wasn't looking here. Yeah. So I'm going to take a look at the buyers, see what they've been buying, see what they potentially hold, see if there's any interesting metrics there to look at potentially.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you're playing with fire a little bit with that unique ownership, but at the same time, it can be a positive. It's a lot of like diamond-handed people that are just saying, "Hey, we're gonna hold this because we know what is going to happen the next 2 to 3 years or whatever it might be," and you just kind of create that artificial kind of supply shock over time. Other than that, nothing else sticks out to me over the last 24 hours. Obviously, other things we'll look into later, but I'll let you take it from here, Ray. I know we have some news to start looking at and to cover for the last 24 hours, so I'll let you get into it whenever you are ready.
Yeah, absolutely. We can jump into the news brought to you by the WGMI newsfeed. We have some news updates today to jump into. We'll start off with Psychedelics Anonymous. They announced that they will be attending NFT London, so they'll be there if you're attending that event. Be sure to check it out. When we were up in NFT NYC, we stopped by their event there. It was a nice party. They had a nice little warehouse that was decked out with all of their art. I mean, it was my real first exposure to their art. I'm not a holder. It was actually open to the public in that scenario. But they had, a lot of their art, and their art looks, really great when it's blown up in high def. So pretty cool event. Met a couple of cool people there. Definitely check that out if you're in the NFT London area. Moving on to Forgotten Runes, they're having a little bit of a Halloween event later this month. We'll keep you updated as that approaches, as that is going to start Friday, October 28th. But just know that will be coming up, and there will be a number of other communities that will be involved in this. I believe Punks, Baked Doodles, Cool Cats, Suzuki, Clonex, Moonbirds, Loot, World of Women, 10KTF also will be able to participate in this. And we'll keep you updated on what this event is and what the rewards are as we approach the end of the month. We saw Ryan Carson jumping in with his fund, making one of the first purchases of October for the fund. We've seen a few so far as we've tracked down his new fund wallet. He was, I don't know if he's being sneaky or just wanted to separate the funds out via month, but there's a new wallet. It's bought the Smoke and Mirrors number 78, set an all-time high for that collection. This is the one with the Winklevoss twins in it. So big buy there. Jumping into October's purchases, he also purchased a QQL Mint Pass via offer and an Mint One pass via offer as well. I think he's making bets on fine art and very strong communities. I know what G Money's building over at Mint One is great, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Ryan to be involved in that community as well. We're following that wallet now. I have my alerts set up, and we'll be, pushing any news if we do see sweeps on the horizon. But it seems like he's maybe wisened up a bit. He's not doing those large sweeps that really move the price and get him in at an entry point that may not be ideal. He's been placing a number of collection offers out there. I think you've noticed a bit of that as well, Clemente, right?
Yeah, and that's been pretty much our approach as well. What we've talked about recently is like, hey, this is a buyer's market, so you can take your time, and when you find pieces that you want to get into, there's no shortage of opportunities in this market, I believe, when you look at the right indicators. So when you do find something that sticks out to you, rather than immediately jumping in because you're getting FOMO, putting in a collection offer is a great way to reduce your risk and get in at a better price.
Yeah, for sure. Wisening up, I think, going to be a better overall return there for the investors with that strategy. Moving on, we had a free mint for House of First. It is called like my first NFT collection. I minted this morning, after seeing it on the news feed. It was super easy. Gas was super cheap. Definitely dive in there. It's not closed off for any specific community. It's an open edition. Dream Big is the name, and it's just basically this is the NFT here by Nick Davis. Free, cheap. Why not? I think it cost me 50 cents in gas to mint that, so it was efficient as well.
Nice.
And we have our daily Zen Academy raffle. There's a few of these. We'll just highlight one today. But if you're a Zen Academy holder, you will see all of those on your newsfeed. This one's for the Pumpkin Spice Moonbirds. To be honest, it seems like a low effort collection, but I know it has some Moonbird support. They announced it in their Discord. But basically, I think it depicts Moonbirds with a coffee cup over their head and a little like froth mustache. So we'll be interested to see. Maybe Moonbirds will enjoy it. Maybe there'll be a bit of movement, but always, no risk to enter into these raffles. Always a chance at upside. So check that out if you're a Zen Academy holder. We saw the Cool Cats airdrop their Habbo Furniture NFTs. So make sure you check your IMX wallets if you're a Cool Cats holder. And then we saw Decentraland announce a music festival for 2022. There's a full post about it here. I know you may have some thoughts on this, Clemente. What catches your eye here with this?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see the event they're running too much. What I do know is I saw a tweet yesterday that was talking about dove in a little bit more on the daily users of Decentraland. So they were talking about, hey, this is a $1.2 billion market cap. But they only have 30 daily users. Someone actually went in and talked about their 500 users that they have every day. Either way, it seems just rather low to me. But from my experience, Decentraland was one of the more active ones, and people actually built some stuff out over there. But overall, it's just like, hey, how do you, the thought in everyone's mind is like, how do you create something that people genuinely enjoy playing, something that people don't jump in just because they can speculate about it and make some money on, and something that people genuinely enjoy. So I don't know, as far as this goes, definitely a bit will be interesting to see. Hey, does the what does the daily user rate look like when you run an event like this?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. That those numbers really surprised me in terms of the number of users. Like, I would have thought Decentraland would have been, way above that. And that definitely shifts my perspective on this, metaverse a bit. I need to dig deeper into those numbers, see what's going on, and then, see if these events do cause more of a turnout. I know we saw other side, the first trip into the other side, that was a ton of active concurrent users just for that initial trip. That's not indicative of sustained volume. There needs to be something bringing these players back to the game on a daily basis. But 500 seems a bit low. I know we are still a bit early, but we'll be interested to see how an event, like this, can draw users, can, bring some attention back to that platform. And they do have some big names coming to us, which is interesting.
My thought process, what really I'm curious about is what was the incentive for these artists to join? And was it, hey, we're going to build out a really cool stage for you. You can come in and perform, do X, Y, and Z for your brand. Or is it, hey, we'll pay you X amount of money, or we'll give you this much land or tokens for you to come in and perform for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of these artists are involved in the space. I know deadmau5 has been involved in Web3 before. It could be kind of a combination of both, building the space forward, as well as whatever monetary or like whatever compensation there is there coming from Decentraland itself. Moving on a bit, we saw the artifact release a video, of a clone incubation facility. I know you broke this one down. You took a look at the video and you took a look at the tweets. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, overall, it was another one of those teaser videos where you're sitting there kind of waiting for something to happen. This one definitely a lot less was happening than yesterday, than the first one. This was just kind of like a research facility, and down the side there were things that were saying incubators, and then you look outside and it's just a desert. So other than that, not a lot to see there. I know the artifact team members were kind of tweeting at each other yesterday saying, hey, like, weren't we supposed to tweet just now? What's going on? And people were kind of getting excited about that. They then deleted those tweets. But when you look at it from a numbers point of view, not a lot happened after the video yesterday. I know we saw a bit of movement before this on the first video. There wasn't a lot to see today, other than listings continuing to go down, which is exciting. It seems like most people have already bought in when appropriate, and are kind of sitting and taking the wait and see approach. You look at over the last 6 hours or so, there were 9 sales, 20 sales over the last day or so, when last time there were about 100 sales on this same post video action. So I think the market's at a point to where they're like, hey, dude, cool, we love these videos, we love all this, but when are you going to possibly actually give us something tangible to work with, versus talking about incubator, talking about story mode being created. And it seems like that's where the market's at with it right now. But I'm curious what you think on it, Ray.
Yeah, I think they're building hype. I think they're doing a good job of that. I saw a number of sales this morning. I think we ran up to 7.7 this morning. I think we were at 7.3 when I woke up, and by the time we started the show, we were up around 7.7. So we are seeing a bit of movement there on the sales, like in the past few hours. I think people are getting ready for the hype. Interesting, when you see incubation, you see an egg, you think you're going to be getting some sort of additional NFT. Is it a companion NFT? What exactly could it potentially be? And I think, as we've seen before, a lot of the speculation and hype is a lot more than when a project actually delivers it. So it'd be interesting if Artifact can really, execute on this hype that is coming up with these story modes.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll definitely be something to cover. And as we do get it delivered over time and as the storyline develops in Clonetober, we will absolutely keep you all posted on what happens there.
Yeah. Moving on, we have another drop from Quantum Key today. Quantum Curated drop. Kim Asendorf is releasing Traces. He's a fairly prominent artist in the FX hash space, which is generative art on Tezos. He has a number of collections here. Reading a book, it's one of the bigger ones. Looking at, he has high sales of 555 Tez. Tez is about $1.50 at the moment. So you're looking at, $750. Expensive in terms of Tez, but, when you compare it to ETH, not as expensive. Floor of 140, very healthy for a Tez generative art collection for sure. Has a number of, dedicated collections or collectors over there. I'll be looking at this drop today. Does it piggyback a bit on the Art Blocks Curated hype? Do people jump in here to speculate? I'll be watching it for volume, sort of like I do for an Art Blocks Curated. I'll be a bit more tempered, but if I do see that volume come in, or if it does bottom out, I'll mint that at 0.25 for sure. But one we'll be watching out today from Quantum Art. We saw 3 landers tease a toy drop for Friday. It was a very vague tweet. I believe it just showed, fraction of a toy. So maybe trying to piggyback a bit on that VFriends hype from the toy launch they had with Macy's.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch this one play out. And I think it strikes to the debate of like, okay, these toys and you're doing all these things, but at the end of the day, we're all playing along with this experiment, and we're trying to figure out like, hey, at the end of the day, what's the point of owning this NFT? Or what is the point of do I need to have a benefit as an NFT holder for every single thing that you do? I know there was some FUD going around because people were complaining that VFriends, for example, weren't sharing some of their revenue with the holders for their toys, and they should have a revenue sharing model. And first of all, if that was even legal to do, which it's not, in what business does it make sense where you're a startup and every single thing that you have to do immediately needs to start giving profits to someone else? There's a reason why these investors back things the way that they do. But anyways, just something I want to share. We're all going to start trying to figure out like, hey, how do we run a business? How do we balance running a business and in a way where it also brings value to holders over time?
Yeah, for sure. Something we're going to have to take a look at as this space moves on. Another one, regretfully, this is broken to us by our analyst, Gary here. AKC or ACK, also known as the Alpha Centauri Kid, opened up a burn mechanism for his Max Payne V2 holder. So he had a bit of a play on Xcopy making his collections CCO. He released a website where you originally were able to mint these at 0.06, I believe. But yesterday he released a website where you can burn these that, kind of minted out for his own project. So he's not like keeping that Max Payne NFT as like his own and like saying, hey, like this is mine. He's saying, hey, like that's actually the token. I use that like tongue in cheek CCO artwork to mint out one of these colored skull tokens that he has created. There are 5 of these. There aren't a ton of details on, any additional utility or plans, but he did say he'll continue to bring us updates over time. And I believe the burn ends November 4th. So I'm holding one of the Max Payne V1s at this point. Bought it at the top. Hopefully that becomes deflationary. People see interest as this November 4th date ticks around. We do see a bit of a run up and pump as people try to jump in or if there's more information released. But something we'll be following along for sure.
Yeah, what happened to stacking that ETH, Ray?
I took my Art Blocks gains right away and dumped them right down the toilet. But I have faith in Alpha Centauri Kid. I liked his Grail piece for proof a good amount. It'll be nice to own that piece, even if it isn't something that's going to necessarily be profitable. And I do like to look at those skulls, even if that is the final artwork. I'm happy investing what I put in there. I do have to balance, my collector versus my investor a number of times. So some of these pieces I do FOMO into, I try to at least have it be one that, hey, I enjoy this. I wouldn't mind looking at this in my wallet if it went to 0. Moving on to the Bored Apes, we haven't heard a ton of news out of BAYC lately, but we saw that they announced a community council yesterday. 7 apes will make up the new council. They have a full announcement on their Twitter where they break down each member and a little bit about them. I don't know what the process here exactly is or what they'll exactly be handling. I think that's a question that a lot of people in the community may be asking. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this.
Yeah, to be honest, I would have liked to have seen more of like, hey, this is why we chose who we chose. And I mean, it sounds like it was just kind of they wanted to pick what they wanted to pick, and that was it. I know some people are kind of upset on like, hey, what does this even mean for the holders? Is there like a line of communication that we have with them? Do you want us to talk to them when we have feedback or things that we want to do? We'd like to see you guys do better. It was more of, I think, just a summary of what they've built in the space and why they were chosen, but not necessarily anything behind the process. It would have been interesting to see. And I think if I were them, it would have been cool to do like, hey, this is what we're going to build out, similar to what Cool Cats did, where you manually select like half of them and then open up the rest for like community voting. That would have been cool to see. And I think it would have created some buzz around BAYC.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that jumped out here, Sarah Stargirl, being on this community. She has a project, Juicebox Friends, that I minted way back when that I thought had went to 0 and had completely disappeared. They mentioned it in the announcement, so I went and listed my assets, hoping that there could potentially be volume with her, seeing a bit of spotlight in the community. It could be interesting to watch that project to see if it gets resurrected a bit. That was the only takeaway I had outside of just wondering what the purpose was and wondering why they picked who they picked necessarily. So I think that is it for the news on the newsfeed side. There was something yesterday that I wanted to cover. I wanted to take a look at, I looked at, 3AC Capital's wallet. So I have a wallet group in our portfolio page. They transferred a number of assets. First time I'm looking at this, I loaded it up before the show. It looks like they transferred out a number of assets, many emblem bought assets. I think those are generally rare Pepes, I believe, as well as some super rare. You're seeing a ton of assets being transferred out of these wallet groups, art blocks, some other one-of-ones, rareable, Kumo, rare Pepes by Matt Fury, Where My Vans Go. I believe what's happening here is that they're being forced to liquidate their assets to cover the debt that they owe. So we could see a number of these collections, have new assets on the market. I don't know if they're going to be selling them, directly on floor, listing them, at appropriate values, or doing OTC deals. But this is going to be a list I'm going to have to dive in a bit deeper through today, taking a look at, our wallet history on WGMI, seeing what they have left, seeing what they've moved, and seeing if there's going to be, a potential sale on some of these different collections that may be sold at a discount.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier in the summer. It was like, hey, when is this going to happen? How's it going to affect price? And then kind of fizzled out. So maybe now is the time that this actually starts moving. If it does, Ray, please keep us in the loop as far as what you find out when you dive in a little bit deeper there.
Yeah, looking at the current assets still held in those wallets, we're seeing, Fidenza, CryptoPunks, Ringers, and Autoglyphs taking up the top 4. So they have, good chunks of positions in those 4 collections. So also be watching those as time goes on as well.
Absolutely. As far as for the rest of the show, wrapping it up, Ray, what I've got is the Rare A Pepe Yacht Club. Saw a little bit of a pump. I know I called this project on Monday when it was at 0.4, and my thought process was like, hey, the listings are going down. They're seeing about 60 sales over the last few days. We're at a really good spot where it's bound to have a pump. They're sitting at 0.47 now, so if you're able to get in and you put in an offer there, we're able to get sub 0.4, you're in the green. But if you are considering an exit route, I would take it. Those listings going up is not great, but we've seen this play out the last 3 times that I've been watching his collection. Is it'll go down in price, and with that the listings will go down, and then it'll get to a point of resistance. It keeps hitting his 0.4 and then bounce up to 0.5, listings go back up, and then it goes back down again. So definitely something to keep track of there, but when those listings definitely do not look positive. Anything here, Ray, or anything else before I go to the what I'm watching for today?
Yeah, actually, I just thought of another play that we covered on Newsfeed, to be honest. Looking back at Newsfeed from September 23rd, we mentioned the Bodega Buddies RSVP on the Nifty, and I mentioned that each portal gets you one of these Bodega Buddy allow-list spots, for the Solana collection that I think potentially has promise. Easy Eats over there running the collection, big name in Solana, has a big following, has all the Nifty degens behind him. And we announced this and we said, hey, look, Nifty is a good buy as it stands, looking at, hey, look at their following, look at what they have on Spaces every day. They have a rabid group of collectors and investors backing them. They're talking about releasing a PFP. And, ever since this announcement on our newsfeed, we've seen the price go from, 0.21 and now we're sitting at 0.36 today. Very close to, some of their all-time highs. It's continued to run. We continue to see big names jump in. Ryan Carson put a collection offer there as well, trying to jump into this this collection. But one I'm watching for sure. I hold a number of these. I've continued to buy in over time. I'm thinking about selling now. You always want to sell into these pumps and not be buying into these pumps. But if you would have seen our newsfeed, read a bit into, what the Nifty is and jumped in at 0.2, you'd be sitting pretty right now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call, Ray. Will be interesting to see how that plays out with Bodega when that mint does go live. Other than that, Ray, I mean, the only other thing I have is when we were looking at, hey, what do we want to call for today? What are we liking as far as fundamentals go, right? And I want to be clear that this is like a great starting spot, especially with some of these later projects or something that's seen a big pump in the past. But something that stood out to me is that Anomura Mystery Bowl. It's funny because we were talking about this project about a month ago and it was at 0.6, and we're like, hey, we're staying away from this. Now it's sitting at 0.06. So if you liked it at 0.6, you're going to like it even more at 0.06. You get 10 for the price of 1, essentially. What I do like about it, though, is over the last day or so, you saw listings go down by 50. And there's less than 200 listed. They're having a good amount of volume. So you're seeing 60 sales a day. And what I like about this, it's a 2,000 piece collection. So not a lot of movement is needed to sway the collection one way or another. It's a pretty low risk versus reward play. I know Ray was talking about how this potentially still needs to show some signs of promise as far as the fact that it's an actual project, but they do have backing. They mentioned that they were partnering up with Atari, and they hosted a space yesterday that got about 200 listeners. So overall, I do like what they're doing. One of the things that it is worth to get into is like go explore the community, go make sure that this is something safe. But for 0.06, I think you can get in at a great spot. I would put in a collection offer, pull a Ryan Carson, and try to get in sub 0.05.
Is that what we're going to call it now? Anytime you get in with a collection offer now is a Ryan Carson. He went from being the king of oversweeping to now the king of collection offers.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm looking to make a play into this. I'll put a couple WETH offers, put some feelers out, see if I get anything, and I'll keep you guys posted on how it goes.
Love to see it. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up then. If you don't have anything else, Clemente.
That's it for me. Thank you guys for listening in. As always, this is the 17th episode now of the WGMI Morning Show. We will be live for number 18, of course, tomorrow at the same time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And we also have our market talk tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Ray, I'll let you wrap it up, and then we will call it a day.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening today. Hopefully we provided you with enough data and news to help you make the right decisions with your NFT portfolio. If you like what you saw, if you like some of the tooling you're looking at, if you want to be breaking down these collections like we do, definitely go here, mint our NFT at WGMI.io. You can mint our all access beta NFT. It provides you access through the end of the year. We have just lowered the price as we finish the first month of access to reflect the updated access. We're down to 0.095. This gets you access through the end of the year. Amazing deal. You'll make up that difference in no time with what we have to offer, to be honest. I can't live a day without our tool, and once you start using it, you'll feel the same way. Thank you for listening. We're going to make it. WGMI.